Welcome to the Friday edition of Take 5 for Torah, and that means we are discussing the Haftorah of Parshas Korach. Today is the Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, the first of Tammuz, on June 27th, and here we are back with Shmuel. We've been learning Shmuel on Tuesdays for Take 5, and now Shmuel, almost where we are. We just did Perek Ches, the 8th chapter, now we're just a little further in Sefer Shmuel, where Shmuel's reaction to the people after they insisted on a king, which if you recall, just a few days ago was a big patch in the face to him. After all, he was their shofet, and they're telling their shofet, get us a melech to be our shofet. So Shmuel did his best to keep an even keel. He led them in battle. He was their military leader. He was essentially their spiritual leader. There was no Kohanim. Remember, the Kohen Gadol was killed when Bnei and his two sons were killed, and his grandson survived, and he will one day in the future be the Kohen Gadol again. But Shmuel essentially has to be the religious leader as well as the spiritual leader. Moshe was the religious leader, guiding them religiously, answering their shilas. Aaron was a spiritual leader. He was a sort of a figurehead with a very important uniform of the Kohen Gadol to show the pomp and the ceremony of what it means to serve God in the Mishkan. So one is the spiritual leadership, one is religious leadership, and on top of that, Shmuel was their Navi. He was their conduit to God. He was their military leader. He was their political leader. Shmuel was everything for them. In fact, we might argue that Shmuel alone was the most well-rounded leader of our entire history, which is why we have verses in the Tanakh like Moshe v'Aaron b'Chohanav, u'Shmuel b'Korei Shemo. Right? Moshe and Aaron in their religious and spiritual leadership and their ministry, and Shmuel calling out to God, Korim al Hashem v'hu ya'anem. It's as if though Shmuel balances Moshe and Aaron together on the scale. Or even another pasuk in Sefer Yirmiyahu, where God told Yirmiyahu, stop praying on their behalf. I don't want to listen. Im yamod Moshe u'Shmuel lefanai nafshi al amazeh. Even if Moshe and Shmuel, says Yirmiyahu in chapter 15, even if they would come and stand before me and pray, I wouldn't listen. And that's many years after Moshe and Shmuel. So that shows that Shmuel is our greatest leader, our greatest Navi after Moshe Rabbeinu, and they rejected him and cast him aside. And still, he did not reject them. He said, Chas v'shalom, that I should refrain from praying on your behalf and still serving on your behalf, even after what you just did. At the moment, remember it says in the text that it was the late spring. In the moment he prayed for thunder and lightning to what would appear to be the heralding of a storm. And you know, if it rains hard at the end of, let's say the end of May, the end of June, in Israel, that will destroy crops. So the people began to shiver and they begged Shmuel, please, stop those, like almost like Paro did during the plague of hail. And Shmuel, of course, did so. And he never stopped being an advocate of the people. And while he sort of sounds a little kvetching, he says, did I ever take a single donkey from any of you? Which is another way of saying, did I ever ask for travel expenses even? You never paid me anything. I didn't get any perks for all I did for you. I didn't even ask for travel accommodations. I didn't even ask for travel expenses. Now, that makes this the perfect Haftorah of Parshas Korach, because when Moshe complained to Bnei Yisrael after all of their rejections of him, Moshe, you see, said the exact same things. He said, which donkey of yours did I take? Which expenses of mine did you cover? That I should accept your slings and barbs of everything that you do to me. So this was how Moshe and Shmuel connect. In fact, Chazal say that when Moshe in Sefer Devarim says there will be one day a Navi like me, and God told the same thing to Moshe, that one of those prophets is actually Shmuel. There's Yoshua, there's Yirmiyahu, Shmuel, Ezra, and even according to one Medrash Eliyahu, but those are the Nevi'im and Chazal that we say are like Moshe. but no one as great as Shmuel.